Everybody, this is Mr. Larson, and it was lesson 2 of the tools of geography. Now last time we got together we turned our grapefruit globes into grapefruit maps, and with not much success, and we saw some of the difficulties that geographers have when taking a round surface like the globe and trying to present it as a flat surface. Today we're going to talk about some specific ways that maps distort geography when you try to do this. But before we start, I want to give you a little story. Now, I'm recording this about a week after I flew from Detroit, Michigan, which is about maybe here, to Singapore, which is about here. And as you do when you're on a long flight like that, you get bored and you watch the map. I sort of expected to see our route go something like this. Straight line, as straight as you can make it, from Detroit to Singapore. But that's not how we went at all. In fact, when I watched the map in front of me, we went directly north, up into Canada, did something real weird around the North Pole, and then came down over Russia and China, Southeast Asia, and then to Singapore. So what gives? Is the pilot an idiot? Does he not know how to save money by saving gas? He actually knew a lot more than I did, and he was doing what's called the Great Circle Route. And you're going to see why that actually is the fastest way to go in just a second. When you do the assignment today, you're going to see a couple tools. I'll show you a couple of them right now. Number one is Google Earth. Google Earth is probably my favorite program on the internet. It takes just a minute to launch, but it's completely worth it. Now in Google Earth, you can spin the world, look all over, find your house, see whatever you want to see. But the tool I want you to use right now is Google Earth measurements. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to this ruler down at the lower left, measure distance, and let's just do what I just talked about. Let's start in Detroit, Michigan. You left click in order to start the line, and you hold left click in order to move the globe. Oops. Let me try that again. We'll go Detroit, Michigan, and let's go the route that I thought that we should go. So I thought we should go something like here to, where are we? Here, about Hawaii. Boy, the Pacific is big. This is a long flight. To something like this, Philippines, and then finally, oh yeah, here we go. Not perfect, but down to Singapore. Now, as you can see, we're at about 18,000 kilometers. Let's go the way that the pilot went. Let's delete that first. Back to Detroit. You can also search if you want to find Detroit, if you're not as amazing at geography as I am and can find anything on the map. Detroit, Michigan. It'll bring you right there. But again, we want to use our measuring tool, and let's go the way that the pilot went. In fact, if you just go directly to Singapore, you can see that it's going to bring you the shortest distance, and the shortest distance was exactly like the pilot went, up over Canada, down through Russia, China, Southeast Asia, and that's 15,000 kilometers. So he saved, what, 3,000 kilometers? That's a lot of gas, that's a lot of money, it's a lot of time. He did the right thing. The other tool I want to show you before we go too far is the true size of. If you launch it, it's again a map projection. Remember, we talked about how all maps are projections, and you can move some things around. So you can actually see how, in this case, maps distort size, specifically surface area. So let's take something like Greenland. It'll automatically pop up on this map. And then let's see how it compares to some place like Brazil. Here it looks like maybe Greenland is 2, maybe 3 times as big as Brazil, although Brazil's pretty big. When you drag it down on the equator, it reduces the distortion, and you can see that Brazil is actually 2 or 3 times larger than Greenland. So those are the 2 tools you'll need. The assignment today has you go through the 4 aspects I talked about: shape, area, distance, and direction. If you're confused about any of them, go down to the bottom. They're pretty intuitive, they're pretty much what you'd think, but read these little descriptions just to make sure that you've got the definitions correct. And then what I want you to do is I want you to to fill in this slideshow and show me some examples of distortion in each of these 4 categories: shape, area, distance, and direction. It's pretty self-explanatory. I've got a toolbox for you and some images if you want to copy and paste. And when you come back next time, you're going to be sharing this with your partner first, and then I'm going to be checking it over in class. All right, thank you very much.